Hi everyone, it's me Giovanni again, and I decided to make another video today. So this is trying to explain Fnaf 4 and Midnight Motorist Solved Story Part 3. So, as of right now, I unlisted a video that was absolute trash. So yeah, you can not see that on my channel anymore. Even though it has 2 likes, I'm okay with it. But boy was the last victim reason. We are not going to question the details or maybe the reason why Evan was scared of the animatronics or Fredbear in the minigames. And considering that in his bedroom there's the Fnaf plush. The Fnaf plushies, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy are supposed to be his friends. And if he encountered the nightmare animatronics, even if it was in his dreams or nightmares, the nightmare animatronics, they would not be his friends. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that Michael or the crying child is supposed to be the kid in the Fnaf 4 actual game, like the Knights, I have a feeling now now wouldn't make sense. Like the actual current timeline, especially with the recent story in the recent novel, part of the series Tales from the Pizzaplex, that's gonna come out soon, and on October 3rd apparently, which is Mean Girls Day. I like this map, how it's there's an extended version of the house, where you can obviously see the main 4 squares, the living room leading to the outside, Evan's bedroom, Elizabeth's, and a random hallway area with the grandfather clock. As for Midnight Motorist, it seems to, at least reference something that happened to the Aftons, but in the actual minigame, especially since the location is vastly different from the minigame in Fnaf 4, it's supposed to depict a family similar to an event that happened to the Aftons. So basically, the dad is obviously representative of William coming home, driving home after killing Charlie, but as for the actual father figure, he's probably just coming home from work. He stops at a bar and a guy tells him that he's not allowed there anymore. Probably because he got into a fight or caused a ruckus, or was probably drinking too much. He also stops at a field, which is located near the woods, and there's a patch of grass and dirt lying in the corner. Most notably, people think that it's a grave or something else. But sometimes it's not that important because, even for me, I can barely even see it. Literally, I can barely even see it. And besides, it's probably not that important. But if it involved the Aftons, and especially since Evan died and then Charlie died because later on. And since Midnight Motorist presumably takes place after Charlie's death, it's most notably that's Evan's grave at that patch of dirt and grass. Especially since, when someone dies, there's a funeral and a burial spot for their grave. But, like I said, I'm not going to question it. But as for okay, so William wanted to recreate what his youngest son, what happened to his youngest son, Evan. He wanted to do it to Michael to give him a taste of his own medicine, but he decided to do it to other children later on after his daughter Elizabeth died, which I can guess, especially in the Fnaf VHS tapes. William says if they were Michael, then they deserve it, which makes sense because also one of the things that I might have figured out about why William kills children, it's because he's trying to punish them because he thinks that they're naughty, which is kind of similar to Billy Chapman from Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Mrs. Tredoni from Alice, Sweet Alice, which are one of my favorite horror movies. So, William basically kills the missing children, including, he first kills Charlie after after Evan's death. Evan's takes place on his birthday, probably during the spring or fall. My timeline is that his birthday is on October 9th, and that Charlie obviously dies in October 31st, basically Halloween during the same year in 1983. And Midnight Motorist presumably takes place after Charlie's death. As for the fact that William is yellow instead of purple, it's because he's not even in the shadows. And I feel like because he's yellow, it's probably because he's just wearing a raincoat. He's just wearing a raincoat under his usual clothing. It's fine. Don't question why he's yellow. But like I said, the family in Midnight Motorist is supposed to depict a certain event that happened to the Aftons before. So William Afton comes home, and his wife tells him to not bother Michael because he had a rough day. William doesn't listen and tries to knock on his son's door, and when he doesn't get a response, he goes outside and checks from his son's window to notice that it was broken and that Michael probably ran off to some place in particular. Mostly, presumably, his brother's grave, and that an animatronic was watching him. Now, most people think it's Nightmare Fredbear. Now, I feel like the reason why Michael was had nightmares about Fredbear is because he had nightmares about the experiments, and that on night 7 we actually play as Michael, even though he wasn't experimented on. So let me just give you the timeline of the Afton family. So Evan dies in 1983, presumably on his birthday. William kills Charlie on Halloween that same year. His wife Laura wants a divorce because presumably he wasn't the man that she married. William manipulates his children, especially Elizabeth, to lie in court so that he can get custody of them. So after Elizabeth dies, in 1985, William kills the 5 missing children and notices about Remnant and decides to experiment with it by creating the animatronics to capture and kill children, and he accidentally kills his daughter Elizabeth. So, since he murdered his daughter Elizabeth, he goes even more of a spiral because he decides to experiment on other children. So basically, in the story, Roy was basically trapped in the room for in the experiment for 10 years. He's now 17. It's unknown what time period it's supposed to take place, like a Pacific year, because it's even in the books, it's still pretty vague of certain details, like years, people's birthdays, maybe even names. It's just unclear. And as for fun with Plushtrap, it might also be an experiment. But I don't know if I'm sure. And besides, some people think that the sister location animatronics, the Funtime animatronics, were still active during Roy and the experiment. Even though William Afton was dead, where people mostly assume it, it's still unsure whether there's a certain year in the timeline where in the story where Roy discovers the whole thing about the experiment. Owen. So, considering that I've tried to find a solution of when sister location actually where the sister location game actually takes place in, there's so many dead ends on Reddit that I just can't with it. So in my timeline, it's in 1996, or probably after William Afton dies in 1995. I'm still unsure of it. But please, I don't care. Just comment down below. Tell me an exact year when sister location takes place, and in the story of the experiment that Roy discovers. Please. I really want to know. Because I just feel like it's sort of impossible. How did William begin having these experiments on children by torturing them until they died? Or how did William just have it automatically just continue? Or when were the Funtime animatronics were still around during the experiment, where Roy was basically trapped somewhere that resembled the crying child's bedroom? Well, sort of. And it's pretty clear that Roy's story about him running away is not connected to Midnight Motorist. That's probably a fact. Okay, this was a little weird, but this is for now my part 3 and probably the final video. Yeah. Bye.